In my personal opinion, the government is doing nothing, really. I think Greta Thunberg has got it exactly right by saying that all the government is doing is blah, blah, blah. There needs to be wholesale changes in the way we live and the way that the country is run to make a difference. We should be trying to get people to use public services like trains, buses, to get people on their bicycles rather than depending on their motor vehicles.
At this point, I don't know what they're doing, and it's not advertised properly, and I do not see that they're getting too involved in actions. I do see around Wellingborough massive development, increase the number of houses, increasing the number of warehouses. Actually, I may say that here in Wellingborough we have around 150 warehouses in the surroundings, with around 25 to 30,000 people working in them, and they come from other cities as well to work in this place. It's quite an industrial area, which is kind of affecting, you know, the atmosphere and polluting the city as well. All these cars are polluting the atmosphere, but they need the cars to go to work. You know, so whatever you do is like a vicious circle that you can't interrupt unless you offer solutions. For instance, means of transportation, public transportation, quite developed public transportation, electric buses or stuff, but there are no actions in place, none that I know of.
I think things are very, very slow. So, for example, I find around Wellingborough, it's very frustrating that we're having, 10,000 houses built. All of them will probably have gas central heating. Hardly any of them will have solar panels on their roofs. And that just seems completely bonkers to me, that in this day and age when we've got plenty of capacity for solar panels on houses, the capacity for air source heating or ground source heating perhaps is not quite so much, but other sources of heating could be used. Why on earth we put in gas-fired central heating in when we know full well it's a fossil fuel? I think the government have done quite a lot about coal, which is good, but they seem to not think that gas is a fossil fuel, which of course it is, and it just puts the same amount of CO2 into the atmosphere.
In terms of what the government's doing, I'm a bit in the dark, actually. I know they've set targets. I think they're talking about getting to net zero by 2050. Personally, I think that's too late, but that's what they're setting as a target. How we get to net zero by 2050 is another question. I believe they need to put steps in place from that date coming backwards, with milestone targets for us to have done various changes by different points. But I can't see that they've done that. I also would like them to have set targets that they then communicate to local authorities, and that they support local authorities to achieve those targets. We need whole system change, and they need to lead it. They've said, let's reach this target, but there's no plan.
I'd like to see the government take more responsibility for it, and to promote reusable and cut down on the throwaway society that we have at the moment.